Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another ACS focused webinar, this time on the ACS Bridge program, how to become a bridge site or a bridge partner. I'm Jörg Schlatter. I'm the manager of the ACS Student and Postdoctoral Scholars Office, and I'm joined today by two wonderful colleagues, by Caroline Chick-Gerald from Jana University and Stefan Franz from Georgia Tech in Georgia, of course. And we three will guide you through this session today, how it will work. I will actually probably talk for about 20 minutes, giving you a general overview of the ACS Bridge program and how it actually fits into the ACS portfolio. And then we will turn it over to Caroline and Stefan, who went through the application process fairly recently. And I always feel it's better to hear from individuals who went through the process and to learn how they have prepared to craft competitive proposal. So I will take on the first half or almost half, and then we will actually switch to our wonderful panelists. And let me start that the Bridge project is actually managed by a large group. I will not read all the names here on that slide, but it consists of several project coordinators and a project manager, and we have our internal ACS management team consisting of the Executive Vice President of Education, and we work very closely with an advisory board with experts from industry, from nonprofit, and from academia who help us really defining the direction of the overall program. And I hope with that information you feel comfortable that this ACS program is in very good hands and that we are really looking forward to partnering with wonderful new institutions to make this overall program a big success. A big success for ACS, which is the world's largest scientific society with more than 150,000 members worldwide. As you might know, our vision is really to improve people's lives through the transforming power of chemistry. And of course, we have a mission statement. And with all that, of course, we have core values. Indeed, we have 4 core values. And the fourth one is diversity, inclusion, and respect. Every single part of ACS, of the American Chemical Society, embraces this specific core value: diversity, inclusion, and respect. That is mirrored by programs which we have already for a couple of years. We have the Project SEED, which focuses on high school research experiences of individuals from socioeconomically disadvantaged families. We have the Scholars Program, which focuses on supporting undergraduate students from underrepresented groups. And now, since 2018, since September 2018, we have the ACS Bridge project, which focuses on graduate studies, broadening participation in graduate education. This was actually started many years ago, way before 2018, when physical science societies got together and talked about this incredible achievement gap. And the achievement gap is basically displayed here between the blue bar and the green bar. The blue bar shows you the fraction of undergraduate degree holders with underrepresented minority background. 18% of those are from underrepresented minority groups. In contrast to the PhD students, only 11% come from underrepresented groups. And this is a huge gap. And we know by losing this incredible talent, we're missing out. We might miss out on the newest innovations, which could have happened, but now we don't have the right talent to move forward with those innovations. So we want to really fix this problem, and we started to really work with our partners on building our Bridge program. And at this point, I think, Deborah, you will take over and we will have the very first audience question.
All right, everyone. So I am going to launch a poll. So it says, how familiar are you with bridge programs such as the ACS Bridge Program or the American Physical Bridge Program? So go ahead and select the one that best fits with you. Very familiar, somewhat familiar, or not really familiar. All right. And I am going to close the poll in about 3, 2, 1. All right. And I will share the results. So we have about 71% of our participants who said that they are not really familiar, and 29 who said they were somewhat familiar. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing those results, Deborah. And yes, you're here at the right spot to learn a little bit more about the bridge programs. So, as I said, it all started actually with a grant which was issued by the National Science Foundation to several physical science associated um, scientific societies, including the American Chemical Society. We collectively received $10 million over 5 years to build the Inclusive Credit Education Network. The grant will end in 2023. The grant was issued to really increase the participation of women and underrepresented racial and ethnic minorities in graduate studies in the physical sciences, which includes physics, chemistry, material sciences, geosciences, and astronomy. We're looking for new disciplines who are interested in joining the Inclusive Credit Education Network, and but that will be another topic for a different webinar. IGEN is actually led by the American Physical Society, and the reason for that is APS started many years ago building their bridge program with funds from the National Science Foundation. They have proven that this system is successful, and they came up with a hypothesis that using this framework from APS, other disciplines could do something similar in their own discipline. So we partnered up with those organizations which I just mentioned and many others who support us by spreading the word, by coming to the round table and having discussions on equity in graduate education. Corporations are on board, national laboratories are on board, and other organizations. I mentioned the ACS vision earlier. I should also mention the IGEN vision. Our vision is to achieve equity for underrepresented groups in doctoral degree attainment in the physical sciences. Our specific goals for the ACS portion, for the ACS Bridge project, are to increase within 10 years the fraction of chemical science PhDs awarded to underrepresented minority students to match the fraction of chemical science undergraduate degree holders granted to these groups. The second one is to develop and evaluate document sustainable model bridging experiences that improve the access to and the culture of graduate education for all students. And the third one, to promote and disseminate successful program components to the chemical science community. I would like to point out chemical science community is there, and it doesn't say chemistry because, as you know, ACS is more than just chemistry. We are serving chemical engineers, geochemists, biochemists, so way broader than the traditional chemistry definition. So keep that in mind. And our bridge project itself consists of two parts. The first one, the bridge program, where we help students to get into graduate school, and we provide funds and access to talent to selected departments. Hopefully you next year. And the second portion are actually the Bridge Travel Awards. And the Bridge Travel Awards are available to any undergraduate student from an underrepresented minority group to travel to a national meeting associated with ACS or NOBISHE. Yes, this year there are many travel restrictions in place. We know that, and you probably heard the ACS national meeting will be held online. So we will have funds available, which we call, I believe, Career and Professional Development Funds, which would cover the registration fee for undergraduate students. On a side note, only this year we will have also funds for graduate students who would like to present at the ACS national meeting. If you would like to learn a little bit more about those travel awards, send us an email, bridge@acs.org, and we are happy to send you a flyer or refer you to the right website. In 2020, we shared good news with the chemistry community or chemical science community. We secured additional funds from an industry partner, from the Genentech Foundation, that supports more bridge sites. So we doubled the number of bridge sites which we could fund per year. So this year, the very first time, we sponsor 4 bridge sites, and we expect that next year we will be able to sponsor 4 instead of only 2 bridge sites as well. That should be good and encouraging news. But how does this bridge program actually work? Again, we want to help graduate students to get into, or undergraduate students to get into grad school. So we host an application portal and say, student, if you would like to grad school, send us your application material, including demographic information, statements, your CV, any indication about publications, and so on. It's basically a regular, and reference letters, of course. It's basically a regular graduate school application. So we, as ACS, together with our partners in IGEN, we collect those applications. And we think really deeply, with which institutions should we share those applications? Which institutions have demonstrated that they have the right infrastructure to allow the students to gain the necessary skills and competencies to succeed getting into grad school and finishing grad school? And those institutions who will get access to that portal, we call the bridge sites and partners. Both are ACS selected institutions. If those institutions select some students from this portal, those selected students which enroll in the bridge sites and partner institutions we call bridge fellows. We don't distinguish between bridge fellows at bridge sites or bridge partner institutions. It doesn't matter to us. You might ask, which students actually apply to this portal? Well, students that apply to graduate school, maybe to 1 or 2 programs, and then they stop because they might not have had enough money to send more applications to programs. And they didn't get into those programs. Maybe some students didn't even try to apply because they thought, oh, well, I don't believe in myself. Why should an institution really be interested in me? So they might be already discouraged in the very beginning, but you might be surprised looking at their application material to see in which environment they grew up, got their educational experiences, and you could sense the drive they actually have and that they might be a good candidate for your program. And for sure, there are other students that might need additional preparation to be ready for graduate school. But all of them have one thing in common. They want to get a research-based PhD degree in the chemical sciences. 2 types of bridge departments, bridge sites and bridge partners. A table which summarizes basically the differences. And the big differences you could find in line 1, where we talk about funds. Only bridge sites receive funds from ACS as a pass-through agency, right? Up to $180,000 over 3 years. Bridge partners don't get that. Well, bridge sites get a little earlier access to the student database than the bridge partners. The proposal deadline is also different. If you want to become a bridge site with a dedicated deadline, September 1st, 2020. And if you want to become an ACS Bridge partner, June 1st is your deadline. Every June 1st, we're accepting or we're closing the module and we evaluate the new cohort of Bridge partners. Something what I have to point out, it doesn't matter if you're a Bridge site or a Bridge partner, if you write that in the broader impact statement, whenever you apply for an NSF grant, that you are a Bridge, part of this Bridge effort from ACS, it shows that you're really interested in broadening participation and that you're interested in broader impacts and that you did something for that. That is the evidence, what you might need to really make the small difference between getting funding or not getting funding. First, we will talk about the ACS Bridge sites. Well, what is an ACS Bridge site? We said you receive funding. The Bridge site selects and hosts ACS Bridge Fellows and provides research experiences, advanced coursework, mentoring, progress monitoring, and coaching. And they also thought about sustainability beyond the first 3 years of ACS funding. That is very critical. We want to make sure that this one-time investment from ACS carries over in to the next years after our funds run out, unfortunately. So 180,000 per bridge site for 3 years. It will be a flat rate payment of $25,000 per bridge fellow for stipend and benefit. You could receive up to 2 bridge fellows, or up to 2 bridge fellows can be funded per year, and each bridge site can receive funding for up to 3 years. Per year, you could also receive $10,000 for institutional support. An example, because that is very confusing. When we set up the rules, we thought, I think to make it clear, we should come up with an example. So let's assume you're institution A and your institution was selected as an ACS Bridge site. In the first year, you go to the application database and you look and you find 3 fellows, Bridge fellows, BF1, BF2, BF3. And out of those 3, you would receive from ACS 2 times $25,000 as a flat rate payment, plus $10,000 administrative support for the first year. Second year, well, Bridge Fellow 1, 2, 3 are still in your program, but they're not eligible for getting any funding. However, you go back to the new group in the application module, and you find this year 2 new Bridge Fellows, Bridge Fellow 4 and 5. For enrolling those 2 fellows, you would receive, again, a total of $60,000 in year 2. And let's look at example in year 3. In year 3, you would select 3 new fellows, and you would again receive $60,000 as a flat rate, which includes 2 times $25,000 as a stipend and $10,000 as an administrative support. So math, very easy, $180,000 over 3 years. Who is eligible? Well, institutions, universities or colleges that offer a master's or doctoral degree in the chemical sciences, chemistry or chemical engineering. You must be located and accredited in the United States or Puerto Rico, and you must have active research programs readily available to Bridge Fellows throughout the academic year. The site leader must be a tenured or a tenure-track faculty member in the Chemical Sciences Department with strong backing from the chair and university administration. The site leader doesn't have to be an ACS member, by the way. That came up at some point. That was an interesting question. No strings attached there. Again, deadline 1st of September. That is the deadline for the pre-proposals. Those are the 3-page documents. If you were selected to submit a full proposal, then this full proposal would be due on November 2nd, 2020. And we would be able to announce up to 4 new sites in March 2021. How is the pre-proposal submitted? Well, it is a single PDF document which is sent to the bridge@acs.org email address. And as NSF, we will not be able to accept any late proposals. What are the 5 components of the pre-proposal? Well, we would like that you give us a project overview, that you state your project goals, and you describe your infrastructure elements. You describe your setting, your institution, your chemical science department. You will share some data about all graduate students and graduate students with from underrepresented minority groups at different levels, actually undergraduate, master's, and PhD students. You will talk about existing programs and efforts that are in place to really help increase diversity. And you will talk a little bit about the project team. In addition, there are key components which should be addressed, including how would you make this admissions decisions, which financial support is available, mentoring infrastructure, community, coursework, research, how do you use individual development plans with your fellows, which resources do you have on campus to provide mental, to support the mental well-being of potential fellows, how would you approach monitoring the progress of the fellows, and of course, since the students would go to graduate school at some point, we would like to know how would you prepare, how would you help the fellows to actually craft those competitive grad school applications, and some words about how you envision to make your program sustainable. In the 5th portion, the budget will be actually very brief. I gave you an example what we support, and that's basically it. And so keep that in mind. But of course, if you would like to share with us what else you have in mind to offer to the Bridge Fellows and what else would be provided through your institution, feel free to share that with us. So that was the pre-proposal, actually. And let's say you get an email from ACS saying, congratulations, your pre-proposal was successful, and we ask you to submit a full proposal by November 2nd. You would submit a full proposal, which is longer, but has basically the same, includes the same components, but you will have to go a little bit more into depth. In addition, there will be a 1-page project summary in the very beginning. And the proposal itself will follow NSF, the NSF style, right? So project summary, project description, including project overview, project goals, infrastructure elements, key components, what we just discussed for the pre-proposal. But also there are additional sections where you could list references. We would like to have the biographical sketches of key personnel, current and pending support, and letters of support from the dean, from whoever you think could sway our reviewers to a favorable review of your proposal. Something which indicates that your institution, your university, is really serious about improving diversity and inclusion efforts at your organization, and an NSF style budget. Very briefly, a word about Bridge Partners. I said Bridge Partners proposals are due June 1st, so you just missed the last deadline. That said, in our experience, whenever we send out the message to institutions that became eligible for submitting a pre-proposal, and we receive all pre-proposal, and we conduct also, we identify the bridge sites, but also sometimes we see there's so much quality at those institutions that didn't become a bridge site that we immediately offer based on the documentation, a bridge partner status. So by applying to becoming a bridge site, there might be an opportunity to become also a bridge partner. But the regular route and the public official route is really to apply June 1st. Again, it's a bridge partner is a chemical science department interested in recruiting students into their master's or doctoral programs, selects and enrolls ACS Bridge Fellows into the graduate programs, and is committed to ACS Bridge program principles. The RFP and proposal templates will be available on our website. So I talked already way too much, so I think it's time for another audience question before we turn over to our wonderful panelists. Deborah.
All right, thank you, Jorg. So I will launch the next audience question, which says, which of the affiliated ACS Bridge departments have access to the ACS Bridge applicant database? So please select all that applies. All right, so we are getting some answers. All right, and I will go ahead and close the poll in 3, 2, 1. All right, and I will share the results. Perfect. So it looks like we have 93% who said bridge sites, and we have 86 who said bridge partners. So it's both. Thank you.
Excellent. I think an educator would be excited because the lesson worked. Okay, but as promised, we will now turn to our experts, to Dr. Carolyn Chick-Gerald from Indiana University and Dr. Stefan Franz from Georgia Tech. And in order to get started, Caroline and Stefan, I think it would be very good to give maybe you first, Caroline, the opportunity to introduce yourself, your department, and share with the audience when you became a bridge site and how you have actually prepared your department to become part of the bridge program.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you so much. First of all, let me say how thrilled and grateful we are to have this opportunity to be a part of this program. This is something we've been looking forward to for several years. So I'm Caroline Chick-Gerald. I'm an experimental physical chemist, and I've been chair for a couple of years now. I'll just say the way we really prepared our faculty for this being a part of this program is we have a secret weapon. We had an APS bridge site in our neighboring physics department, and we're very close together. We have a number of adjunct faculty swapped between each other's departments. And the leadership and the bridge fellows in the physics program have been just incredibly generous with their time and their experiences. And the leadership of their program came over to the chemistry department, and they spent an entire faculty meeting talking about what their experiences were, the success of their program, and the outcomes for the students, the fellows. We actually have a physics bridge fellow in our department serving or working in one of our labs. There was such an enthusiastic embrace of the idea of having a bridge program in the chemistry department. It was a very easy sell to my colleagues, and we've really been working on educating ourselves on improving diversity in STEM, both at the undergraduate, graduate, and faculty levels. And so this just seemed like a no-brainer for us. So we were all very interested in doing it. So did you want me to start on the tips now, Jorg, or did we want to give Stefan the chance to introduce himself?
Let's give Stefan a chance first. Stefan.
Hello, everybody. And thanks for the invitation to be part of the panel, as well as thank you for the opportunity to actually be a bridge site. So we're one of the newest bridge sites. We're just awarded, I guess, formally this past week. We got it all situated and signatures and everything like that. So we're formally now a bridge site. I am an associate professor of chemistry. I'm an organic chemist. I am also the PI on our department's RE program. through NSF. And so asking how do we get into the idea of getting for the bridge program, there's twofold. One, because of what I've learned and saw from the RU program, and talking with a lot of students that were looking at post-bac programs and bridging programs, and I always thought it would be great for Georgia Tech to be a part of that. And then we also had the fortunate situation where in Chemie, the Chemie department had just recently had a bridge site funded the year before. And so I already collaborated with the PIs on that grant just separately, and they mentioned this to me, given my interest with RU and expanding the programs and things like that. So they helped a lot in terms of guiding me towards how to navigate towards putting together a complementary bridge site. And I'll stop with that.
Thank you so much for the intro, Stefan. And I think we might want to just jump into some tips which you could share with our audience. Caroline?
Okay, I actually wrote down a list of them. The zero order tip was to listen to our friends in physics, sort of look at the broad strokes of their program, talk to them about what worked, what didn't work, what they wish they'd known. And so we benefited from that greatly. So we're one of the departments that applied actually 2 years ago, and we were selected for partner status. And we were able to recruit a bridge fellow with our partner status. And actually that was an incredibly wonderful and learning experience, because all the things we put in our first proposal, we completely retooled after working with our current bridge fellow. We learned things about being a lot more proactive with the educational support, finding ways to work to navigate the state institution restrictions on paying moving expenses up front, things like that, finding employment for partners, things like that. So we felt a lot better situated the second time we wrote our proposal after working with our bridge fellow. You should also bring in as many colleagues as you can in not necessarily writing the proposal, but definitely on tweaking it. Everybody has different experiences with students and experiences in the classroom, experiences in the lab, and it's really good to get input from everybody who has worked with a wide range of students. You should definitely leverage the resources at your institution. We were able to secure commitments for fellowships from the University Graduate School, the dean of which is our vice president for diversity, equity, and multicultural affairs. So that's a unit in our university that's very dedicated to promoting diversity. We were able to get tuition and fee remissions committed from the college in perpetuity for all of our bridge fellows. So that's an incredibly valuable contribution from our college. We also have within the University Graduate School a strong mentoring office that runs workshops specifically for mentoring underrepresented minority graduate students. And so, this is perfect. And of course, we incorporated that availability of mentorship training in our proposal. We also have our own Office of Assessment, and assessment is, of course, an important component of this proposal. So figure out what you have already on your campus and figure out how to loop it all into coherent interference. So you have this synergistic activity pulled together from all the different offerings of your institution. Another important thing is to listen to your current graduate students, conduct a climate survey, figure out where things are lacking, because if your existing students are not finding your graduate program working for them in certain ways, you should figure out how to fix that as well. And that can also inform how you pull together your own bridge program format. One of the things we did learn from our students is that they really needed more availability of psychological services. So we responded by getting an embedded counselor in our department 1 day a week. And so that's also something that we could leverage with our bridge program to provide mental health support. You should definitely tap into the iGen resources, look at the materials on the iGen website. I attended the last iGen meeting and learned a lot about holistic review of applicants, and that's been really valuable to us. And also, that was a really valuable experience just because, again, speaking to other Bridge Fellows in the context of, say, the keynote speaker, where a lot of really poignant and provocative things were brought up. This really enhances your ability to put together a thoughtful and meaningful proposal that's really going to meet the needs of the Bridge Fellows. You should also read the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine report on graduate STEM education in the 21st century. It's really illuminating and will help you formulate different features of your Bridge program. And be sure to have a lot of different people read over the proposal and again, make tweaks and comments and find inconsistencies. And, again, different people's experiences will just make the overall proposal much stronger. So those are my hot tips for the proposal part. There's also a site visit you'll need to prepare for if your proposal is strong, and I guess that can be subject for maybe another moment.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. And Stefan, so how did you prepare your competitive proposal on Georgia Tech's campus?
Yeah, so I started by building off what Chemi, their proposal, what they were doing, but with one key point. So one piece of advice I would say is identify your true goals. I say that because you're going to see applications that range from all different levels and all different experiences, all different situations. And so you need to recognize that and be conscious of which groups are you targeting to try to help, right? If you're really trying to look for a true bridge where there are students that need a lot more input to be able to get them to where they need to be, then they require more resources to be able to do that. So it's being conscious of what your goals are and recognizing what resources it will take to help those students get to where they need to go. I would say start early. I learned that through the process, like you got to get so many people involved. The upper administration, your chair of your department, the deans, at every level, you have to get people involved to help craft the proposal, to help find out, okay, what resources are available and what can we commit and things like that. And it's not something that can be done on an island. There has to be a lot of discussions and partnerships developed through that. So you need to start early in doing that. Even like you put your pre-proposal in, you should be having those discussions even before you know whether or not you're being selected to go for a site visit. You need to keep that process going, keep the discussions going. Also, I would say I agree with the leveraging resources. I think that's very important. I think also it's your responsibility to also educate your faculty, because again, they're the ones that are going to have the students in the labs. So making sure you educate them in terms of about the program, what to expect, realistically understanding where the students are coming in, what level they're coming in at, and so making sure that everybody's on board with what it takes to get the students to where they need to go. Because some students may need more than others, but all those other things, mentorship is such a key component in that making sure that's really in place. And so what we did was we've established for not only faculty mentorship, we also have peer-to-peer mentorship as part of our program to help balance that out as much as possible in that regard. And yeah, I agree. Everything that Caroline said was, partner. Talk to your colleagues. Let other people read the proposal. Talk to people that are specialize in those areas, like mentorship. Talk to people who specialize in mentorship. If you're going to have a component where they're doing teaching, get those people involved. If they're going to, any people focused on professional development, make sure they're involved in the discussion as well, so that you're sure that what you're saying makes sense and actually fits with what your department's capabilities are and what the needs of the students are. So I think that's the main tips I had.
Thank you so much, Stefan, for those wonderful tips. before I really open the floor for questions from the audience, and please use the question box to enter your questions, and I will be able to field those questions to Stefan and to Caroline. So the Bridge project really is interested in helping change culture on a campus. And to change culture, you can't change culture with one person or two people. What we heard from both Caroline and Stefan is so important. Get everyone to some degree involved and aware of this opportunity. Talk to your students. Figure out early on what they think about the current diversity and inclusion efforts. What could be improved on your campus to create already a better environment without ACS Bridge. But report that you had those critical conversations. Talk to all faculty members. Make them aware that this is something what might be coming. Listen to their concerns or to their suggestions and communicate that in the pre-proposal that there were those conversations, which are critical. And then, of course, with university leadership, right? And connecting in some way this bridge program, which you might get on your campus, with other ongoing initiatives, right? Really leveraging all those efforts to build a bigger momentum. That will be very, very, very critical. So I think, and now of course my question box is stuck. Okay. So there's a question on the slide, which students apply might need additional preparation to be ready for a graduate program. Is the ACS interested in facilitating partnerships between PhD programs and master granting departments that have had success helping students who may not be ready due to uncertainty? We're always happy to partner up with anyone who's interested in really help create equity in graduate education, and not only in graduate education in general, but we are focusing with that program on graduate education. So please reach out to us, and we are happy to have this important conversation. As I read the other questions, right? Let's just assume you prepare in collaboration with many people in your department a beautiful pre-proposal. And you get this message. Congratulations, you're selected and you're allowed to leverage the next 3-4 weeks to create a 15-page proposal. It's a lot of work in this brief period of time. But I'm just wondering, what did you do in that time, Caroline? How did you create this 15-page proposal in this short turnaround? And then, of course, after that, I will ask Stefan exactly the same.
So I actually wrote the 15-page proposal first and distilled it down to the 3 pages. So I reverse engineered.
Wonderful. Stefan, did you have the same approach?
So I did a hybrid. So I would say I didn't write 15. I probably wrote about 8 pages worth of stuff, and then distilled it down, and then used that as a template to build from. I ended up throwing out some things I had written previously from the 8 pages to, make it better and so on and so forth. So, but definitely write more and then pull the best of that, out for the pre-proposal.
This sounds really wonderful. It's me a lot of this free writing exercises where you just write down everything what you think, and then you distill everything down and create a wonderful structure which is compelling to the audience. So you heard the 2 tips of the pros about the full proposals. Let's assume you get a message, and when did we say? I think you would get a message very likely in January that if you are successful, we congratulate you and we say you belong to a small number of departments which we consider for becoming a bridge site. But there's one last step which we indicated, one small portion in the RFP, which has to be accomplished, which is a site visit. So typically 2 ACS representatives would come to your campus and have several conversations. And I'm just wondering if Caroline, if you would like to share your experience in terms of how have you prepared for this site visit? How have you structured your site visit? And what tips do you have?
Right. So again, this takes a lot of planning and bringing in all of the stakeholders. So right off the bat, as soon as you told us we were going to have a site visit, I immediately contacted all the deans, the associate deans, of the university grad school, the College of Arts and Sciences, everybody involved in our diversity efforts, and put them on notice that I was going to need them. And then I met with the whole Bridge team. I think we had about 12 people on our formal faculty team. We all put together how we wanted to, in particular, address the feedback from the proposal review to make sure that we answered all unanswered questions and emphasized points that we should have emphasized more in the written proposal, and put that in a presentation form. So this last site visit was virtual, but it was still very doable. So all of us were there when my DGS, Sarah Skradlak, and I did the major presentation of our whole project and addressing the things that weren't emphasized well enough in the proposal. Jorg, you and Latrice asked questions. All the other people in the group were able to answer specific questions where they had their own expertise. We also had the mentor of our existing Bridge Fellow, and she talked about how she structured the mentoring of our Bridge Fellow. And after that, I believe we had you meet with a bunch of our students in the department, our Bridge Fellow, and then some of the Bridge Fellows with whom we interface a lot in the physics program as well. And I think you had basically an unfettered conversation with them, after which you met with our university leadership who were providing the really generous support, allowing for a pretty long-term sustainable plan to present to you. And then after that, I think we just did some follow-up question and answer with the DGS, Sarah Skradlak, myself, and you and Latrice, and that I think wrapped it up. But again, advanced practice, making sure that everyone was on the same page, all the students knew what the purpose of the site visit was, et cetera.
And even if there's a fire alarm on that site on that day, it doesn't harm you. No, that is a funny side anecdote.
With the chemistry department.
That happens. And yes, typically we will do those site visits in person, but due to COVID-19, that was right at the time where travel was restricted. We had to change our strategy on a dime. And I think, Stefan, we were not lucky to visit your campus this year, so we had a virtual site visit as well. Stefan, would you like to share your experience?
Yeah, so for us, given the virtual aspect, we had planned, so it's me and the other co-leader for the plan. So, our small group where we basically got together all the different constituents, whether it be from the dean's level and within our department as a whole, and basically put everyone on a schedule that would basically be able to speak to different aspects of the program, whether it be teaching, coursework, the sustainability. We could speak about synergies with the other aspects, and including the other bridge program. There's different student organizations that could talk about how they could be directly involved. So it was a lot of everyone trying to be, talk about their part and, basically let them know the framework and then go with that. So we didn't really do any like formalized practice and saying, we basically, I made sure everybody sent slides beforehand and we talked through them. And so everybody knew what, the focus is and everybody was on the same page. So once we had the schedule, even though we switched to virtual, quickly, we were able to accommodate the fact where we still had everybody coming into the room, talking about the different parts, you know, Jorg and Latrice were able to ask questions. If we needed to step out of the room and let them have more candid conversations without us present, they were able to do that. So I thought it worked really well, and I think the key was the partnerships with the different people, the constituencies, so that they could all emphasize the level of support at all the different levels of the institution.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. I want to be mindful of our time today. There are a couple of other things which I should mention. First of all, let me send you quickly all a link via chat. This is a link to a website which is part of the Inclusive Graduate Education Network. And I hope you see now the website on the slide, right? Or do you still this? Okay, good. So it's called Research Practice Toward Equity in Graduate Education. There are tons of resources out there developed by the Research Hub and Inclusive Practices Hub of the Inclusive Graduate Education Network. So look at the website, digest the information there, and it never hurts to reference that website or resources whenever you turn in a proposal. So I shared that with you via chat, and we will also share this link in a follow-up email to everyone who registered for this webinar. We will make the slides available, and we will also make the recording available to everyone who registered for this webinar. And in general, if you have any question at any point, don't be shy and reach out to us. We're always available at bridge@acs.org. One other thing, and Caroline mentioned that earlier, we have, together with our partners in physics, materials research, geosciences, and astronomy, almost annual conference. So due to COVID-19, we will not be able to host that this time, and we will not do anything virtual this year. But you should keep in mind that in June 2021, we will have the next IGEN national meeting, which is very likely be held in St. Paul. And everyone is welcome to join this meeting, and for sure, since you signed up for this webinar, we will send you the meeting announcement, and there are workshops about admissions processes and how about GREs, about the value of GREs, and if you should use it or if you shouldn't use it. Very likely you shouldn't use it. There's a lot of evidence for that. And in general, students from underrepresented minority groups can join. Of course, the majority of students will be our Bridge Fellows from all the different disciplines. And so this is a wonderful event. If you're interested in equity in graduate education, the physical sciences, you might want to consider joining this event. And I should definitely also acknowledge a couple of our partners, including NSF and Genentech, who made actually this program possible. And with Genentech, it's possible to expand our bridge sites every year a little bit. And also, if you're part of our bridge partner or bridge site cohort, I want to let you know we have an emergency relief fund application process. If your campus hosts a bridge fellow and there's something what happens which inhibits the progress of the graduate student, of the bridge fellow towards his or her degree, and you need funding, you or your institution would be eligible to apply for up to $30,000 per year to get funds for that particular bridge fellow or for the research that Bridge Fellow is engaging in. So those funds are available for every institution that hosts a Bridge Fellow, partners and bridge sites. So there's a lot of value in that. And I think with that, again, I should promote our email address, bridge@acs.org. And I would like to really thank again Caroline and Stefan for taking time out of your very busy schedule to talk today to our audience who was really craving for more information about how to write competitive applications for becoming a bridge site. We will share the video, and you will be the stars in that video. So a big thank you, Caroline and Stefan, for your contribution today. And with that, I think we will close this webinar. Enjoy the afternoon, and I hope we will hear from you all very, very soon. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you, Jörg.
Thanks.
Thank you.